Hello and welcome to the Bee Formless Flow-Driven CEO podcast. I have on a Monday evening from New Jersey, Gil Bar-Lev. Welcome to the show, Gil.
Well, thank you very much for hosting me, B. It's my pleasure being here today.
No, welcome to the show and thank you. And then you were talking that I was so far ahead into the future and I had a bit of a giggle because it
Yeah.
is Tuesday mid-morning here, but we are present and I think that more than ever we need that presence, don't we? So I'm looking forward to our chat today. You have quite the entrepreneurial journey, or what I like to say, you are a serial e-commerce entrepreneur and you're the founder and CEO of HomeRoots, which you started back in November 2019. I'm talking to a lot of people who almost had COVID babies, and when it comes to businesses or that were birthed during COVID. And what a way to start a company. But yeah, it's essentially HomeRoots. You said to me it's an enablement platform for furniture, lighting, and home decor used by North American. It's a selling platform for retailers, designers, and hospitality buyers, not hospital, hospitality. And HomeRoots focuses on fast shipping, wholesale pricing, and the integrations for scale. The other bit is that you worked at Toys R Us, which is one of the most iconic toy shops brands. It's been around forever and a day. You'll be able to tell us when it first started, but it still exists today. And of course, Amazon. And at Amazon, your team and yourself earned Amazon's most innovative web store, being recognized back in 2013. E-commerce has come a long way and it feels like it's doing a full circle at the moment in terms of the amount of, and I wonder if you've got the stats around the amount of businesses that are starting now from an e-com perspective. Yeah, tell us a bit about your journey.
Wow. Well, very good recap. But yeah, we'll say. But other than that, I will listen. I didn't start my journey in e-commerce, but e-commerce became to a large degree a love of mine. Okay, but like you mentioned in the intro, what drove me into this space is when I was hired by Toys R Us, and later on as part of their partnership with Amazon to expand the toys category onto Amazon platform. And that's what really gave me the exposure on how e-commerce is done, retail, wholesale on a global scale. And I've learned a lot from Amazon about scaling e-commerce as a whole. But my background, it's interesting. My background was actually in software development. I was in web development. In Toys R Us, post 2000 plus, post the 2000 bubble, if one of us, the older people still recall, um, there's a lot of concerns about the internet at that time, and I guess somebody Toys R Us made a mistake that was in my favor, where they connected, or thought that online development is the same as e-commerce. It's not necessarily the same. It does have elements to it, but
Yeah.
not the same at all. And they put me in charge of this project. Now, I knew nothing about e-com at that time, but I had to lead the project, and I knew something about web development. So for me, it was just a learning process, just learning as we go, iterating, improvising, and kind of building it up to a lot of it to what you see today. Just a foundation that was built by myself and the team. And after that, I felt like, okay, I love software development. I definitely love e-commerce now. Let me try to help out different brands sell to consumers. So co-founded a company that helped. That's what we did. We acted as if we were department heads of those brands. We did everything for them. Whether that's the marketing, whether that's the biz dev, whether that's the operation, we're doing fulfillment, warehousing, we were doing their customer support, their billings, everything they need to do. And of course, we sold the company after 5 years to some of our customers. And one thing led to another. For more than decades, I held different consultancy and advisory role to mainly Inc. 500 here in the States. Talking about the gap and differences. I know for you it's Tuesday, for me it's still Monday, 6 o'clock here, but it's really make me see the gap in how difficult it is for manufacturers to do business with retailers. As
Mm,
one that came from this vertical, someone that consulted to both sides of the fence, I felt like I could see the gap. I could see as if one is speaking Chinese, the other one is speaking Japanese, and they're not always the same.
yeah.
And there's got to be a solution. So that's gave the idea. That's pretty much incepted the idea for HomeRoots, which later on we zoomed into the furniture, mainly because it was extremely antiquated. It still is to a large degree, and very fragmented. Meaning even the biggest guys out there don't really hold more than 2 to 3% of the market share.
Wow.
So when you start looking at those things, you realize, okay, there's got to be someone that can put it all together. It's a big task. It's a huge task. And I decided to take it on my own. So at least at the beginning, now I have a great team with me, but the beginning was basically by myself.
Yeah,
In
right.
a
Good on you.
nutshell.
What a story. And it's relatively young, right? It's only 6 years. Well,
Yeah.
6 years just
Right.
now, just in November.
Yes, in my mind, I had it for a little bit longer, but it took me a while before we were able to launch. So I was kind of bootstrapping it at the beginning, pretty much putting my own money into it, my own time, trying to build it under the hood up to the point where we felt like, okay, we're ready to go live. So, but like you said, we are a COVID baby, and as soon as we launched, I mean, COVID hit the US pretty much around March 2020, I think, more or less. Uh, it was very challenging for us as a company that is just 4 months old, suddenly just be out there and trying to sell to retailers where a lot of the physical stores were just closed. So that was very challenging, put us more in the focus on e-com, a lot of e-commerce sales, integrations, and this has been, we even gave a chance to many physical retail stores sell online, and in some cases we even saved their existence.
Yeah.
But that was a good satisfaction after this.
Yeah. So did HomeRoots start in B2B and then you had to pivot to B2C because of COVID and then you've gone again back to B2B. Like is that kind of what is that the journey in terms of like you've got B2, do you know what I mean? Like it feels like you started in B2B from what you've talked about. And I'd love your thoughts on this because I've always looked at, there's B2B and there's B2C, but there's also B2B to C, if that makes sense. And
Right.
you've gone and
Yes.
done the B2B and then you've gone B2B to C. And then
Correct. Yes.
it's a continuous cycle, right? It's a continuous, yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, our approach was that I didn't want to be just that vendor to my customers that just pushes products across the fence to them and sell, 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 sell. I don't care. But I really wanted to help them out, right? So I wanted them to see me as not just their vendor or not just a platform that they source from, but a true partner, that someone that try to sell with them or help themselves. So we developed an array of tools that really help their e-commerce sites, right? Whether that's different integrations with different e-commerce platforms or whether that's something that helps with their marketing activities. And we just listen to them and ask them, okay, what are the things that we can help you sell more? Just again, it's also a bit selfish, right? Because we need to increase our sales, but we also wanted for them, as I said, to see us as partners and not just another vendor. Because I remember when I was buying goods back in the day from my vendors, it was very cold. It was just okay. Here's your price sheet. Here's the catalog. If you want to place an order, this is how you can reach us. I just didn't want to be that one. I wanted to be more.
yeah,
And so COVID pretty much pushed us going towards that more in accelerated manner in order to help our customers or
yeah,
new customers pretty much survive.
yeah.
That was it.
And
That
then
was
yeah, and then 5 years later, here we are in this, the world's biggest revolution. We thought COVID was wild and it's, once in every 100 years, and then here we are now. What have you seen as the biggest changes to not just your business, but in terms of from an e-com perspective, full stop? What are you seeing as the biggest changes happening? at this
Well,
very
there's a
point in
lot of
time.
revolutions that took place. Just I think that almost every year you can see a different type of revolution. It just depends on who implements that sooner or who survives that. So post-COVID, or maybe during COVID, you had the inflation of container prices, which impact the industry, impact prices, impact e-commerce, especially on the B2B, when retailers want more stability with pricing to do their planning. Obviously, that had a major impact. Down after that, you got some people call it recession, some people call it inflation. But again, it's another slowdown in the market in demand where from the hype of COVID, now you got a year of certain a dry out when there's hardly any, when sales is in decline compared to previous years. So you got that. Alongside, you have to say goodbye to few retail partners or e-com companies that you were doing business with just because I guess some of them took loans and some of them couldn't pay back when demand went down, and you have to say goodbye, and the market has shifted, and now there's market share to take, and everybody's trying to fight that who's going to take over that market share, that void. And then the following year, you got some type of geopolitical activities. Okay, I won't get into,
Situation,
but with
yeah.
that, especially I'm coming from the U.S. Okay, so in my world, definitely impact where you got different, power struggles out there that does impact again, impact supply chain, impact pricing, impact players that trying to sell goods, whether they're online or offline. So that's another thing that's happening. And then you got now AI all over the place, and people are coming up with different solutions. And yeah, let's get it implemented to retailers. And retailers trying to push it, but some of the industry on the back end side with the manufacturers, they're a little bit slower to adjust. So it's not just so you can't look at the industry as okay, just that industry in a microscopic manner. You got to look at everything else that is
Holistically.
adjacent to it, which is all of it. And there's almost every year there's something, every year. So we just before we went online, we spoke about I've never seen so many changes in my life since COVID. Like I don't remember. I've seen so much rapid changes that's happening on a global scale, on industry scale, you just name it, right? In such a rapid manner. So it's amazing. It's amazing. You have to adjust constantly, and you can see the ones that cannot adjust, they just die,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And it leaves opportunities. And it's on one hand it's sad. The other hand, as a business owner, it's very exciting and challenging. But that's what drives us forward. So you asked me what has changed. Those are all the things,
Yeah, no,
and probably
it's
very much
interesting.
so there's going to be more, right?
And you're going to call
Right.
me kind of like the woman in the background here with all her different fingers, but I was just thinking about it, and you were like, you've never seen change like you have in the last, 5 or so, 6 years. I don't know about you, but this might be a bit of a random question, but we're going with the flow on the Bee Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast. But I sometimes go like for a walk with my dog, and I did this last night, and it was kind of rainy, and I was just like, I felt like I was having an out of body experience in terms of, and I'm keen to ask if this happens to you, where I was just looking around, and I was just like, like, wow,
Um,
like nothing's linear, nothing's staying still. Like we are ultimately shapeless. We're constantly forming, and then we're reshaping, and we're shaping, and we're reshaping. And last night in particular, I was just looking around for a split second, thinking, what's the next shape going to be? Like quite literally thinking to myself, like not trying to plan too far ahead, or because I am really practicing being present, because I think the more we worry about tomorrow or next week, we've got no control over it, really. We don't have a lot of control. It's changing rapidly in its own way, and I think the ability to be able to stand tall and stand up in life and in leadership and in business is this ability to be able to adapt to it, or like I was having last night, a bit of a out of body experience. I felt like I stepped out of the world for a second, and I just looked around, and I was like, oh, I'm in this world, but do you know what I mean? Like, do you
yes,
find
no, no,
that
I know.
random, or does that ever happen to you?
I don't remember what. So one, going back to your point, I don't remember who exactly said that, but I definitely remember a quote. that the most important time is the present, right? Because the past you cannot change, and the future has yet to come. So the present is the most important time. So you got to live the present, got to live the current time. So that's going back to the point. Now, listen, I had a lot of supernatural activities. That might be left for also another
No, I want to hear all about this.
another episode. But I had a lot of things that I've seen in my life that are you cannot consider them to be natural. Okay. And that made me believe in many things that sometimes you're not. Um, listen, I believe that at our core, we are whoever we are that we were born at, we are at our core. However, we are, life is, as I think about like water, that a water stream that goes over the stone, as hard as the stone is, eventually the water just shapes it. And maybe now recently with what's happening in the economy and everything else, we're shifting faster. Maybe the water stream is definitely faster, so we have to adjust faster as human beings, as individuals. Um, and but you don't know where you're gonna end up. I'll throw you an example, okay? Um, hopefully you'll find it relevant to some degree. But about a year and a half ago, without going too much into details, but a year and a half ago, something happened to me in the business that I had to completely take myself out of my comfort zone under pressure, under time pressure, that almost the existence of the business will rely on me being able to adjust in real time to things that I've never done in my life that nobody believed that I can do. Meaning, in other words, the feedback that I got is that mm-mm, you're not going to be able to do it. This is not, just look around. You've never done it. This is not your strength.
Possible.
This is not and it was actually a bit discouraging for a year and a half ago to be in that situation where you're not being felt as if you're being appreciated. And everything that you actually done before that is like, as it was completely voided and meaningless. So now I'm finding myself under time pressure. I have employees to feed. Okay, I have a family to feed. Uh, and I need to do something in a couple months that I've never done in my life. Never done in my life. And so looking back now, year and a half after that, a little bit more, um, that probably one of the best things that happened to me in my life. One of the best things in my career. It opened myself up to things that I've never even thought that I will do. It made me feel, speak, think in manner that I've never before. I gain a lot more confidence in many other aspects. That before I was a little bit more shy, a little bit didn't feel too comfortable asking things, talking about things. I was more hesitant. It changed me completely, the person that I am. It doesn't mean that I'm never shy. I am still shy to some degree, but it made me a different person. So that scenario of you being put under pressure to achieve something in a timely fashion, or the clock is ticking, you can see that, and then no one else can come in. Nobody else is coming to rescue you. It's you. It's your responsibility. Um, and so it changes you. So going back to what form you're going to put on yourself, I think from my personal experience, also depends on your environment, your situations, um, you know, what floor you need to dance on in order to be the star, right? And that makes you whoever you are, just based on that.
Yeah.
That's again, that's my personal
I love it,
experience.
Gil.
Example.
I love it, Gil. So what I'm hearing is that you had all these naysayers saying it's not possible, and yet you were like you stepped into this unknown. You had this open mind. You saw the possibility, but it took courage to take that step forward.
Yes. And
Was that what it was? What was this, what was the mindset shift for you that was like, who says?
I just needed to, I really needed at that time to be able to go on and speak to people by myself, create a pipeline of people that I need to speak to, be able to speak to them in a convincing manner for them to believe in me, believe in what we're doing. And but just being able to go out there without any help, without somebody else who does it for you, without somebody else who's giving you any guidance, without someone that tells you, okay, I arranged it. It's you. You need to do it, and you have a couple months to do it. Because if you're not doing it, it's blackout. It's done. Close the lights, close the door, goodbye. This is pretty much the situation. And it forces you to step back, start thinking, okay, what are the priorities? What do I need to focus on? What is most strategic? What is urgent versus not? Instead of trying to take on everything at once at those times, you really need to deprioritize things that are non uh existential, let's put it this way, matters, and focus on what's important. Now, it does not mean that even today I still do a lot of things at the same time. I'm getting actually quite bored when I'm doing one thing at a time. But in time and pressure, I know to kind of I
Okay.
learn
Mm.
to deprioritize and reorganize things appropriately. So
Do you think that's more and more required when it comes to being a founder, business owner, or a leader? Like, do you think it's especially given, again, we were talking pre-show around rapid change, distractions, like everything's always on. Like, it comes back to this presence piece, right? Like, and being having the ability to be able to block out, all that external advice, noise, whatever it is at times, to be actually just to be so crystal, so clear, so laser focused. Like, do you think that we need that more and more in today's world and what we're continuing to face?
I think yes, definitely. I also think that one needs to know how to adjust,
Yeah.
pivot. You can't stay still. I'm telling you, from a business standpoint, I've seen so many retailers that I've been doing business with over the years, even or that I work for them, they just vanished because they couldn't adjust. So the same as us as human beings, if we will not adjust, reshape ourselves, own a different form, okay, we'll have a hard time being relevant
Mm,
out there. Let's throw out the AI revolution that is happening, or that we're in the middle of it, right? Uh, if you're not doing things beyond just searching in ChatGPT or I don't know, Gemini, if you're in China, let's say DeepSeek, okay? But whatever, if you're not doing things beyond that, you're going to become irrelevant to some degree after a while. I'm just seeing that even within my team. And I'm pressing them, just do something with AI. There's different things that we're doing as a company, as an organization with AI, whether that's our own proprietary or not, but we're constantly pushing them to experiment and learn new tools because otherwise it's just your capabilities are just going to be your skill set going to be behind. You're
yeah.
not going to pick it up. You're going to become irrelevant. And not nice to say, but we're not getting younger. And if you're looking for, again, taking it outside of the CEO or founder role, but if you're looking for a job, um, and you don't have the relevant skill set, or you had the skill set that were relevant 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and you want to be employed by an organization that is really, on the edge or trying to make changes or pivot into the corner or future, you're gonna have a hard time if you're still in the past with your skill set. So you constantly have to adjust, unfortunately.
It's test and learn, isn't it? Like it's test and learn. And it's funny that you brought up team, and I was already about to ask you about your team. team is everything. People is what makes the business go around. People, you're only as good as the people surrounded by you as a founder, as a CEO leader. In terms of your team and you're pushing them or encouraging them, should I say that, to experiment more with AI beyond just ChatGPT, etc. Because ChatGPT is the familiar. It's like this kind of, it's like a safe, it's almost become like a safe place because it's easy, but there is so much more out there that we can explore. Are you and understanding, not understanding, I should say, your demographic and the ages you have in your team, are you seeing a resistance to experiment, or are you seeing more that they're almost getting attached to something because everything's changing so much, but then there's this need to continue to encourage them to keep adapting and keep trying. Like it's an interest because I'm just thinking here that as leaders, everyone's going through this change. We're all experiencing it. There's all this fear. There is this fear of the unknown, but it's how do we encourage everyone to be constantly adapting and iterating? What are you seeing coming out of your team as the biggest blocks for them, but also what they're embracing as well?
Yeah, so I see the two sides of the spectrum. I see one side that is a little bit more hesitant with AI. Okay, let's wait till it's ready. Let's wait until it's mature. It's not yet there. And like, okay, they're kind of dancing around that, not fully embracing it. Not saying that they're against. I don't think there is anyone in the organization that is really against, but there are some that are like more like um, I don't want to say idle because they are attempting, but they're not fully embracing it. They're still kind of waiting a bit to see other development. And from time to time, they have some touch points here and there. That's one side. The other side of the spectrum are ones that like to experiment with AI beyond what's expected up to the point that it becomes too much of a toy or lots of toys that they're forgetting that the aspect of um, experimenting with AI is to contribute something back to work at the end of the day, or to the productivity or efficiency of the teams or the company. So I'm seeing that spectrum as well. That see that too much of a toy, they're getting excited. It's like a kid
Dopamine.
in a candy store, right? It's just they're getting all excited, right, with all the sugar. And it's the challenge of a leader just to bring them back to their yin and zen, like where you have to be in equilibrium where spending that's how much time you need to spend for that. Grow your talents, grow your skills, experiment, try different things, but don't be idle and don't just do only that. Just find the in between. And that's at least that's in my organization. That's why
Yeah.
I'm seeing.
Yeah. And what about yourself? Like, I mean, how do you manage it yourself? Like in terms of you're the founder, you're the CEO, you've got the whole world, like you've got the whole business on your shoulders, if you like. Yeah, I'm sure you've got a great team around you. But like finding the time, you mentioned you have a family, like finding the time to be able to not only ensure that you're continuing to upskill yourself and, adapting as, changes happen, but also then having that ability to get that time, the non-time, the time out to be able to allow those fresh perspectives to come to you to ensure that the business is, at the center of, at the corner of, at the forefront of the future, if you like, in terms of what HomeRoots is doing. How do you manage yourself?
So for the audience, I will say one more thing beyond being a CEO. I'm currently still holding a CTO role in a company. So all the technology, all everything is pretty much still
With you?
my doings. Okay, it's that yeah, we have a development staff, which is amazing staff. But I need to steer them in the right direction and be able to be their leader technologically. So it actually forces me to constantly being in the forefront of technology and constantly looking into things and experimenting. And it's quite challenging actually to do that alongside with being a CEO, because those are two completely different jobs.
Yeah.
Um, but it does help me. At least at that stage of the company, it does help me realize what are the type of technology that we need to embrace and what type of technology we need to build ourselves. And we're constantly building, and whenever I cannot find a technology that we can utilize, then we have to build. And now I need to spec it. I need to work with the team. I need to give them the right guidance, and then ensure that it get implemented properly. So we're developing a lot of our own proprietary AI all the time. And then with that, this is something that we're giving our teams across different departments to experiment with AI, and they're becoming like our users, our beta users. And we're
Market
testing it.
research.
Yes, and this is what we're using before we're releasing it out to our user base. But this is what keeps me up to speed. And my last endeavor was more with agentic AI, where I said, okay, I'm hearing that term a lot. I've heard about it, went to different events, but we've never experimented that in my organization. And I need to give the specs. I need to be the leader to the team on okay how they should implement it, where it should go, what the infrastructure. Well, there's so many different things, right? So I took a pause for being a CEO, full-time CEO. I really became a full-time CTO for a weekend plus. And I went back to the raw days of what I did like 20 years ago. Really just coding and doing this thing. And again, I have not done that in a full time for a long time. Uh, but I really enjoyed it because I still love it to some degree. But I've learned so much about it that now I was able to speak to my team about how to get started with that and for more and give them the guidance to take it on to the next level. And also, when I heard other people now talking about agentic AI and the limitations and initiatives, now I understand. So it's not foreign language to me as well. So it just
So
one, you gotta love it.
you went back to the
Uh,
beginner's mindset, right? Like just going back to that
yeah,
beginner. And I love that with the
I
ability to
tell you
have
a
that
small
beginner's
story.
mindset. Yeah.
I'll tell you a small, really short story. But when one of the things, because I started my career as a software developer, and then I moved into more of the business and marketing side and a lot of those things. But one of the reasons why I wanted to move out of, I mean, I love software development, but at some point in time, I felt like I had enough with coding. I think I want to move away from coding. And one of the reasons why I felt like I want to move away from coding is because I felt like as a developer, software developer, you constantly need to learn new technologies. You have to. Otherwise, you become irrelevant. You don't know the technology. Every couple of months, there was a new framework, a new technology, something that came out, and you had to learn it, be good enough to implement that, and get experience. And I got tired of it after a couple of years. Really got tired of it. I said, like, okay, I can't sit down and study all day long. I I I just want to enjoy my career path and not be stressed about this. And now when I'm finding myself in the civil world, which is not for software developers, it's actually the same now. It caught up to it that where you constantly need to learn new tools, new technologies, new frameworks. Because if you're not, you're going to become irrelevant. So it caught up to me almost a decade and a half after, but it caught out to me. It caught out. And it's but now I'm embracing it.
I
So
love it.
that's it.
I love it. Two final questions for you, Gil. What is next for HomeRoots? Like what's the next big thing?
I mean, we're headed towards the place where we want to be able to help the manufacturers who come on board with us with advise them exactly what to sell, to give them all the predictability, all the predicted demand information, sales data, sales trends. So whoever works with us, we want to give them the tools to gain the market share that they're looking for. And I would love to say for the people or for the manufacturers who are not coming on board on HomeRoots, that their days are, you can start counting their days. And it's just you either going to be, I remember as a kid, we used to hear this commercial from Yellow Pages. If you're not there, you don't exist. And I would like to say the same. You're not on HomeRoots, you will not be on HomeRoots, you will not exist. And then the same thing will be also on the buying side. If you're not going to buy from HomeRoots, to figure out what's best, to get the best of breeds out of all the supply that is available, you will not exist. And that's our goal. This is where we headed, and this is what I would like to see.
I love it. Trailblazing through. What would
Yeah.
be one piece of advice, putting your beginner's mindset back on? What would be one piece of advice you would give any founder, CEO in business right now? It's
Okay.
broad. It's a
One,
broad one.
it's a series of things. So first, know what the heck you're talking about. Second, be relentless. Don't let yourself be discouraged because of temporary events. Right. So stay focused. And three, build up your network. Build up your network is super important. Just cherish it and nurture it because that's what's going to save you when you're going to come across hard times.
Yeah, 100%. Gil,
Okay.
what a joy talking to you. We've talked a lot today, and it's been a great conversation. How do we find out more about HomeRoots? How do we find out about more from you with your amazing life, leadership, and business insights?
So I'll start off with HomeRoots. So HomeRoots is you can find us at homeroots.co. Um, that's where you're going to start the journey with us, whether you want to sell on HomeRoots or whether you want to buy from HomeRoots. That's a journey. I'm an animal that tends to walk around the LinkedIn pages, so you can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Gil Bar-Lev, and you will find me there. Or Gil Bar-Lev HomeRoots, you'll find me there. That's usually more where I'm active.
Awesome.
Yes, and I would love to get reached out by
Yeah,
anybody.
absolutely. I'm a bit of an animal walking around LinkedIn at the moment myself, working out what's true, what's real, what's not. It's all interesting. But Gil, thank you so much, and thank you for giving me your Monday evening. It's always Monday's always a a day for not only starting the week but also then coming on to the podcast. Be Formless. We're all
Pleasure.
about reshaping life, leadership, and business, and what a time to be alive and back to just being present, present right here right now. We don't have control of what's next, and so it's that unique ability to like you say, there's you talk about quotes. There's an Audrey Hepburn quote that nothing is impossible, everything's possible. I haven't got that right, but it is exactly that. So thank you for all
Yes.
your wise words of wisdom, and yeah, wish you
Pleasure.
all utmost success with the continuation of HomeRoots.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And the same to you and the audience. We should all just have success.
Yeah,
Let's wish it.
yeah,
It will
absolutely.
happen.
Yeah. Thanks, Gil. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.